Hello everybody and welcome back to another exciting episode of my vlog. I'm your host Orange Zeppelin and we are at the very end of September. It is the 30th of the month, and if you've been around on this channel for more than even a few episodes of this vlog, you know that I have a little bit of a bad habit at the beginning of the month, and that is that I overplan. I am convinced that I'm suddenly going to evolve past the need to sleep or something, and I'm going to be able to accomplish an absolute preposterous amount of things. I decide that, maybe I'm going to have time next Tuesday to solve world hunger. And that's kind of what happened in September. I had quite the list, and part of the reason I had quite the list of things to do is I wanted to get a bunch of things done before the Inktober season starts, which that is just on the horizon. That is tomorrow that Inktober starts. And I like to have just as many things off my plate as possible before that begins so I can focus all my attention on it. And so I decided I was going to do literally everything in September. And you can imagine how that worked out. I did not finish the gigantic list of things I planned in September. There was some success, though. I actually should be considering it much more successful than I currently feel. Right now I feel like I wasn't that successful, but I really was, because I put a combination of things on this list that were just not reasonably going to be finished all at the same time. I held myself to unreasonable standards, and now I'm sitting here like, oh geez, I'm not the most productive human being on the planet. But no, that's not the most positive way to look at it. And also, if I want things to actually look good, I need to take my time on them, and that is where I think I was successful. Everything I got done looks good. But without further ado, let's talk about what I did accomplish. So you guys have seen I did get quite a few videos taken care of. I got the old art video up. If you haven't seen that yet, you should check it out. I share a lot of my art. I think I actually went as far back as 2nd grade, just because I had things that I thought looked funny or were just fun to show. I wanted to focus more on like my 5th through 8th grade art period, because that's when I was really like, yes, I am an artist, this is where I want to go in my life. And that's where I was really focusing on getting better at art. And that's like the start of my whole art career, is around that time. And I made sure to share things that I can look back on and say, that's something. That is definitely something. But you'll have to take a look at that yourself and see. So I did that. I did another zine review. Got some goodies from my homie Beefus von Griefus. You should check that out also, because that is awesome. I've actually got 2 zine reviews that I've done recently with his stuff in it, so you should check that out. I did that first art snacks video, the one with Shea Gorath. That was really fun to do. That ended up being a long video because I was having fun with it, but I was also just not sure what I was doing. There was plenty of times where I had to pause filming and just kind of sit there and try to decide what on earth I was doing there, because the combination of things I got in that art snacks video, and you can see if you watch that video, it just was saying foliage and trees and plant life to me, which is something I'm not very good at. So I did try to do something that I wasn't as good at. And so there was a lot of sitting there trying to, just hoping that I wasn't going to ruin everything. But I like how it turned out. I love how Shea Gorath's face turned out. He's a character that I've been really into lately, and I've done a few sketches of him. I'd like to do some more finished art of him. I don't know, he's just a fun character. Cool guy. The voice actor is a hilarious guy. He's amazing. So the Shea Gorath related art is gonna happen again in the future. I'm gonna figure out how to get him into Inktober at some point. And then there was also the second Art Snacks video, which was the Art Snacks ink box. If you haven't watched that yet, definitely check that out, because that, I'm showing all the materials I'm going to be using for the upcoming, not exactly Inktober this year. I'm not calling it an Inktober. It's the Art Snacks Ink Challenge. Here is my thing, the Art Snacks ink collection that has tape on it, because I taped it to my wall and then it keeps falling off. So I'm going to have to use better tape or something. But this is the prompt I will be following, but I will get to that in a bit, because I'm still talking about what I accomplished in September. I also did a few parts of a video that's going to be posted and done a little later. I'm doing a video breaking down on how you actually make a zine or a comic. So I've been doing some filming specifically on Brain Fart Comics number 5, which is the first non-video related thing I'm going to talk about. I did all the penciling, which my original plan, I've got it up on my whiteboard, my original plan is that the penciling was going to be done in August, and it was going to be all inked in September. And you might notice this isn't August. I got the penciling done this month, and I just now started inking. So I'll just show you the cover, because the other pages, well, I'll just show it at an angle so we don't have any spoilers. You'll see I've got 3 pages, if you can kind of see, with this weird way I'm holding this, so I don't spoil the comic for you. But this weird way I'm holding this, you can see I have multiple pages drawn on each sheet of Bristol board, because it just fit on this paper really well. I actually have the last 2 pages here, and then I have the cover. I'll show you just the cover again. And so I am using some of the things that came out of that ink collection box. I am also using, do I have it readily available to me? Yes, I do. I busted this out of my collection. I haven't tried to use this in a really long time. This is a stick of, I think, just compressed ink, and then you add a little water in here, and then you can grind your ink stick, or you can throw it on the floor like I did. You just grind your little stick. Do you need, I think you need water. I think you'd need water for this to not just be a terrible sound. And you basically just grind your own ink. So I decided to play around with that, and I would love to show you what I did with it, but it's the last page and I don't want to spoil anything. But that actually is looking really good. It's kind of a warmer gray, and I tend to like cool grays the most, but the warm gray looks really good. Also with the cool gray, it looks really good. So this comic's looking good. It's gonna take a while to do this, and I was really hoping I wouldn't be working on this during Inktober, but that is just how it's gonna be. But I think, looking at this, I'm glad that I am not just rushing to get everything done. This is something that I should take my time on. I already much prefer how this looks compared to the last issue of Brain Fart Comics, and that was an issue I was, and still am, I still am really proud of how this turned out. And this, actually, I did this with Copic markers, so all of that tonality happening here, I used Copic markers for that. But I remember, if you guys watch Feral Publication, his channel on YouTube, he was reviewing this and he thought that it was ink washes, and that gave me an idea, because I do love using Copic markers, but I just run out of ink, and then you got to buy more ink and refill your marker, or buy a whole new marker, and that is a pain. And I just go through a lot of my gray markers really fast, and I figured maybe if I just actually took the time to learn how to do good ink washes, I could do some magic here. And I think that's what's happening. I do like how the ink washes are turning out. So that was kind of a happy, not really coincidence, but just the suggestion that it could be ink washes got me thinking, oh, I should try doing that. So yeah, Brain Fart Comics, it's gonna happen eventually. I'm just behind on my originally planned schedule. And speaking of being behind on an original planned schedule, Whoa Awesome Space Babe X, originally I wanted it done and printed by literally this Sunday. And then when that didn't quite work out, I decided, well, maybe I could get it done by the end of October. And I'm not finished writing it at all. So the status of that comic is just a big, I don't know where we're going here. I'm hoping that will also be very, very awesome when it does get finished. And I might post some in-progress stuff on my Patreon, because I do want to have more Patreon exclusive content. That actually leads me to my next point, is that I did get Patreon exclusive content up, and specifically I'm doing like themed batches of content. So what I put up this month was a few illustrations related to my character Gorga from Whoa Awesome Space Babe. I have a few other illustrations that are going to go up at a later time relating to my character Benji, and then I have some Nighthawk illustrations. But I did add something very special into the Gorga pack. I don't know if I talk a lot about this in my vlog, but I love to cook. I also love to eat, so loving to cook is very convenient when you love to eat. I decided to include recipes for every character. It's like, this is something they really like to cook. I've said before, when Whoa Awesome Space Babe becomes like a super successful franchise, or at least kind of successful, I'm gonna release a cookbook themed off of, I don't know, there's going to be food showing up in the comics somewhere, I would assume. I don't know. I'm just going to get a cookbook out eventually. And it will be good recipes that you can actually make and enjoy, and not just completely stupid gimmicky things. Because sometimes when you get a themed cookbook like that, if you saw my video on the Marvel superhero cookbook, which I'm going to do more videos on that in the future, you'll see. There's some pretty stupid gimmicky recipes. I also did come across another superhero cookbook, the DC Healthy Eating Something cookbook, that's very much a product of its time, very much what people would describe as healthy in the 70s. So there's a lot of, I think, wheatgrass. Is it wheatgrass? Wheatgrass wasn't the wheat germ. I think it was wheat germ. Is like this the 70s healthy trend thing. Wheatgrass, I feel like, might have been a little further on that. I think of that as more of a 90s thing in terms of healthy eating. But anyway, I don't want it to be too gimmicky. I want this to be like, you can actually cook and enjoy my recipes. And the recipe I included with Gorga, and you'll have to subscribe to my Patreon to get the recipe, but I included a modified version of my grandma's zucchini bread. I say modified because I've been tweaking it a little bit, because it hasn't turned out well. It's gone wrong a few times when I've made it. I'm gonna have to ask her, like, hey grandma, what the hell is going on with your zucchini bread, and why is it soup if you put too much liquid in? So I've modified it a few times, and the zucchini bread recipe that I have up, that I have included with this pack, is what I've found is the most successful. And I definitely, if you subscribe to my Patreon and make the bread, tell me how it turns out, because I would totally modify the recipe based off of other people's findings. This is a scientific experiment. I'm going to figure out how to make the optimal, most delicious zucchini bread, and it is really, really good, as long as it just doesn't turn out too liquidy. And because your bread's really not supposed to be liquidy, and the problem with zucchini is that it is already a very wet vegetable, and my grandma's original recipe had a lot of added liquid, and that wasn't working very well at all. So I took most of the liquid out, and I've got it more optimized. and it's still very moist and delicious. So I would definitely recommend checking that recipe out. I do not think you will be disappointed. Even if you don't like zucchini, like the zucchini is barely even noticeable. It's just a way to sneak in your vegetables. If you have a zucchini garden and you're just drowning in zucchini, you can make this delicious zucchini bread. But enough about that. What else did I accomplish this month? So that was awesome Space Babe bonus content. I've got commissions that I'm working on. I finished the first half of a commission job, and I have the second half that I need to be working on. I need to have it done. I need to have the sketch done by this week. I actually fell behind on that, and I'm not too happy with myself for not focusing as much on a commission, because that's kind of a really big deal. So that's what I need to be focusing on. Another thing, actually, the one last thing that was actually planned on my list that I finished is my Celtic Warrior, and I'm showing you this in the binder. There's boobs. Deal with it. My boobs. Actually, I don't think anybody's complaining. Okay, so I'm showing you this in the binder. Kind of makes it hard to see the colors. You can see this on my DeviantArt. I'm super happy with how this turned out. I love the background. I love how the blood turned out. This is just, I'm super happy with this. I wanted to show you what the previous version looked like. And I definitely like my new background a lot more. I think it looks more like I know what I'm doing. I like the pose better in the new version and the anatomy, but I still do like the old version. I just wanted to make something newer, something that fits more what I'm making currently. Oh, I actually found, well, I have my commission art so far, my character sketches, or character inks. Okay, so I did that. There was my commission. And then also the one last thing that was on here that I worked on that actually was not planned, because of course if I have a giant list of things to do, I'm going to start doing unplanned stuff also. I also said I was going to participate in Beefus Von Griefus's zine. He did say there was no deadline, but I also just completely did not get around to that at all. Eventually that's going to happen, I swear. I also decided I'm going to work on a painting that is actually landscape format, which I normally do portrait format. The reason I'm doing something in landscape is because I have a really, really hard time finding images that will work in my banners on various sites. Like my YouTube banner, I don't even remember what it is. And then I think Tumblr and Twitter, also on DeviantArt. Those are the sites that I have a banner where I've just taken something and awkwardly tried to stretch it in, and it just never looks perfectly right, and I can never format it the way I want to. I might have, actually, I think I remember I did paint something specifically for my banner, but I want to do something different, and by different, I mean we're gonna have Celts fighting orcs, because hell yes, because that's cool. I do like I've got a little alien dude right now, I think, on most of my pages. A little alien guy reading comics in space, and he's very cute, and I like him. I just want to do something different. Something that's got more color and more excitement. Something that, I don't know, I just think that would be cool. So that's why I'm doing it. And I think that's everything I did in September. Is that everything I did in September? And that's not including any Game Boy restoration that I've been doing, because did I show you guys the orange game? I don't remember if I showed you the orange Game Boy Pocket in the last video, but I did buy another green Game Boy Pocket, because the first one I bought was green. That one's not going to be fixable, but I have some parts and I have a motherboard I can experiment with. I've got this orange and pink one that I was able to fix, and I have a green one I recently bought that actually had nothing wrong with it, even though it was sold as 4 parts are not working. I just opened it up, cleaned the motherboard just in case. It had a little bit of corrosion on the battery port, so I just filed that off, and it still worked perfectly fine with that corrosion. I just didn't want to resell something that had crispy battery ports, because I think it's maybe dangerous to try to put batteries in something when the ports are all crispy. I just feel like maybe that's a bad idea. So I'm not selling anybody crispy Game Boys. We are having nice, clean Game Boys. You are getting quality from my restoration business that's just barely starting out. But that's been a very interesting venture. I also have a couple of Nintendo DSi's coming that also might be in perfect working condition. I will just have to see. So that's been a whole thing that's been going on. And I think that's it for September. That's a lot. I need to not put multiple comics on my plans, because oh my gosh, comics take a long time to do. I like doing them. It's time consuming. And if I stretch them out over too many months, at a certain point I just get burnt out on comics, and that's kind of where I'm getting right now. I'd like to have a break where I am not doing comic stuff. But so that's everything for September. Now we can talk about October, and I kind of tried to tone it down. I do feel like I toned it down. So comic-wise, October is just going to be like, I'm going to finish Brain Fart Comics 5. If it's assembled and printed, then awesome. Well, Awesome Space Babe X just has a question mark. Like, I would like to finish the script and then prep pages, which that does not actually take that long. Getting things paneled out is not going to take nearly as long as any other part of the process. So that's the comic stuff. The main priority is, of course, the Art Snacks Ink Challenge. So I've got the prompt list right here. I think I reposted it on a few sites, because they did post it on Twitter. I'm pretty sure maybe on Instagram. They might have had it up on Instagram. So if you want to follow along with this prompt, you can. I know that the official Inktober prompt has been up for a while, and then people always do their own prompts around this time, and I like to reblog those as I see them. Usually on Tumblr is where I reblog other people's prompts the most. And of course you don't have to follow a prompt, because the whole point of Inktober, at the very bare minimum, is just draw something in ink every day. You don't even have to necessarily post it every day, which is what that's the rule I usually follow, or the rule that I unfollow. What am I trying to articulate here? I don't post every single day, because I've mentioned this every time I do Inktober, is that the first few times I did Inktober and I was posting every day, I was just taking a picture of it with my phone and it looked like ass. And I don't want my drawings to look like ass. So what I do is every few days I do a batch scan and then I post in a batch. And it's also so I am not posting on a bunch of sites every single day, because that is my least favorite part of the process, is having to sit there and post everything and hashtag everything everywhere. And so doing things in batches makes things suck a little bit less for me. So that's what I'll be doing. I will probably be doing some YouTube shorts of my inking process. I don't think that I am gonna want to do a short every single day. I think that would suck to do, but if something's looking really cool, then I'll post a short as I'm working on it. That actually leads to my video plans. So we've got some shorts. I am going to do a video reviewing something very interesting, an art collection that I got at my college library. I actually made a video on it before, but I want to redo it, make it a better video. It's an enigma. I'm just going to say that. The librarians did not know what it was, and they just sold it to me for 10 cents. And it is a mystery that I want to unravel. There is a distinct mystery involving this collection of art, and it is seasonal for October, so you'll just have to see when I post that. So that's going to be one of my videos. We got shorts. That's pretty much it for videos. I'm trying to tone it down this month. We're focusing on the Art Snacksing Challenge, Brain Fart Comics 5. I do want to finish this banner very soon. Very soon. And then obviously I'm going to do the commission. But other than that, I was about to say other than that, that's it. No, that is a lie, because I have one other thing. Oh, I'm kind of wiggling my camera here. There we go. There's one other thing that I'm adding onto the list. Other than carving pumpkins, actually. I made a note that I'm going to carve some pumpkins this year, because I carved one last year for work. But I want to do some cool pumpkin carving. Maybe, I don't know how many, 2 or 3 maybe. They don't have to be huge pumpkins. I don't have to go completely wild and crazy with it, but I want to carve some pumpkins. I want to do some Halloween-themed crafting fun time. One of those things is I am turning my one suit of armor that I've made, my Bride of Kukui armor that I used to wear to Metalachi concerts, I'm going to turn that into an orc costume, and I will be working on a very short time period. I'm hoping that the main thing that is a pain about paper mache is that it takes a long time and you have to sit there and let it dry. I'm actually hoping that will be a benefit, because basically it will not have a lot of active working time. It's once I have an idea what I'm doing. I have plenty of cardboard. I think I still... You know what? I think I actually threw away a large part of my cardboard stash because I was sure I wouldn't have used it. But I can find me some more cardboard. There's ways. There's dumpsters. I can get cardboard. I can go out in the dead of night and acquire some cardboard. It can happen. But basically, once I got this thing planned and I got some layers, there's a lot of just wait for it to dry. So there's not a lot of active work time. It's the painting that would be more work. And because I'm basically modifying it off of an existing wearable set of armor, the whole how do you put it on, that's already going to be figured out. And there are things that I'm not going to change very much about the armor. Actually, let me see. Let me grab this, actually. Because the only reason I really want to change it, things I want to change is to make it less, it's just Kukui's armor that hasn't been modified. I'm probably going to keep all these spikes because I do like this. I might do a little bit of changing with the color. I might mess them up a little bit more. Let's see if I have a good example. Like this one I did cut up at some point. They used to all be very symmetrical. They still kind of are. I only messed a few of them up. If you guys know what El Kukui looked like when he was in Metalachi, he had a bunch of spikes on his shoulder pads, and they just all kind of fell off over the years. Like, by the last time I saw him in Metalachi before he unkukui'd himself and joined Outlaw Mariachi, he didn't even have any of his spikes anymore. But I was totally trying to figure out, could I fix his armor for him? Could I figure out how to get some spikes on his armor? I don't know what his armor was made out of, actually. I meant to ask him. But this is like the more obviously Kukui-inspired thing. He had the little hands on the shoulder pauldron things. And you can see that I made it out of some football padding. Actually, here, let's put this armor on so I can better explain what's going on here. So, the football padding, it's only complete in one direction. I don't know where my straps are. It doesn't cover the chest because there's also, in this bag, everything's in a series of bags. Because we have boob armor that is attached. The boob armor, the skulls are made out of floral foam screwed into a bra. So I haven't posted a picture recently where I'm in the armor. We have the like skull boobs that needed to be visible, so that's why the football padding was cut off of this. And these like paper mache taco shell-esque things, those have been screwed into the football padding. And they are actually pretty damn secure. And you can see it was originally white padding. I don't think it was properly football padding as much as it was like your internal, you have a shoulder injury and need some kind of support padding. I don't know. But this actually held up pretty damn well over the years. That has been to many concerts. It's had beer spilled on it. I'm sure I've ran into several walls because oh my gosh, it like doubles the width of my body. I was kind of considering cutting part of the pauldron off and adjusting it, so I'm not so frickin' wide, but at the same time, I think that works for what I want. For an orc costume, I think being large and taking up space and bumping into everything and just being large and cumbersome is very appropriate for that type of costume. So that's definitely going to be an exciting project. I'll go ahead and show the rest of it too. The very first thing I made as part of the costume was the leg armor. And the first time I wore any of this costume to a Metalachi show, it was just, I was pretty much dressed as my usual self, but with this leg armor. So we've got straps of Velcro that are duct taped onto this hunk of cardboard and paper mache. And then we've got this thing here. I never figured out if Kukui's armor was two separate pieces, because this is like covering the knee and then going over a little bit of the thigh, and then this is covering your calf. And so it kind of sits, it's going to sit like this. And I never figured out if Kukui's armor actually had a hinge, or if it was two separate pieces like my armor here. So this is the part of the armor that is like the most obviously Kukui-esque. So I might change it up a bit. At the same time, I do just really like how this looks. I don't know, this I think could be most easily changed into more of like a scaled orc armor. In my head, I'm kind of combining Urukai's from Lord of the Rings and like the orc armor in Skyrim, or some of the armor that's in Elder Scrolls Blades also. The thing that I've come to really like about this face more recently is it kind of has Wabbajack energy. If you know about the Wabbajack in Skyrim, the staff with like 3 screaming Sheogorath faces. This is kind of like a Wabbajack skull, and I think that's fun. So, also, how could I possibly forget the most exciting part of the armor, which was a team effort from my mom and I. This is the part that I'm the least sure how I will work into the new costume, but I think, alright, so these, we'll start with the sides. So we've got some shorts with like the Chado suit detailing, and there were several members of Mariachi where it was like stretchy 80s rock star pants, but they had the like Chado suit detailing. So it was like 80s metal and mariachi, which is what the whole Metalachi gimmick was. But Kukui has a very distinctive part. Well, his whole armor outfit is very distinctive, but he has a very large cod piece as part of his costume. And when I created this outfit to match him, I was determined that there would be a cod piece as part of the costume. So The cod piece is sewed onto the shorts. My mom made the shorts. I made the cod piece out of an old computer mouse. So this is actually, that spike is paper mache. There's random metal things glued on, basically. We've got some spikes. Everything is painted up to look more like metal. And there's like some padding on this that's supposed to make it less uncomfortable to have a piece of computer mouse just rammed between your legs. I do find the padding makes it a little weird to walk with. I don't know if this is just like what being a man is like 24/7. You've just got a whole lot of something occupying that space. I don't know. But yeah, that's the Bride of Kukui outfit. And when it's on, I posted some pictures recently, like I said, of me in the full costume. I didn't do the full makeup just because I didn't have time to do that, but there was full makeup. I didn't bring the battle axe to the concert. Actually, wait a minute, that's another thing that needs to come up. So I took a picture with the battle axe. I actually cut the pole that it was on in half, and I'm going to make two smaller weapons. I might make an orcish mace based off of the Skyrim design. Actually, come to think of it, I think the Mace of Molag Bal in Skyrim is very much like an orcish mace in its design. So I could just call it the Mace of Molag Bal, and then something else that could be something else. And then I got my Lord of the Rings Uruk-hai sword over there. So this is going to be quite the look. I don't know if there's anything actually going on in Halloween in my town where I could be like rolling down on my bike in my orc costume to participate in the festivities, but that will be happening. I am going to embrace my inner orc. I think that's it for my to-do list. Is that it? It's basically just Inktober focus, one comic, do the commission, and then do some fun Halloween stuff. I am not over planning. I'm not doing this giant hot mess of plans. I'm not attempting to solve world hunger in my spare time. I'm just gonna focus on a selection of things, because I also still feel in the back of my head like there's something else that I'm forgetting. I don't know what it is. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to try to be a little more focused in October and just have some good, happy Halloween fun time, because this is, in fact, the most wonderful time of the year. I love me some Halloween. I love me some just garbage-ass candy. I'm excited to go buy candy and go to the pumpkin patch and do all that fall things. I'm putting pumpkin spice in my coffee. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that. I love coffee. I don't care for pumpkin spice lattes. I might just be really bad at making them. First time I made a pumpkin spice latte in my time as a barista, that was probably the worst coffee I'd ever made. That was just not very good. And I did ask my boss, like, are these overrated? Wait, what did I say? I said, did I just make the worst pumpkin spice latte ever? Or are these overrated? And he said, maybe, but yes. So yeah, not going to do the pumpkin spice, but we're going to do some Halloween stuff. And I hope you guys have a fun October also, and you guys do some fun Halloween stuff. In fact, tell me in the comment section, what is your October Halloween goal? You gonna watch some spooky movies and eat too much candy? You're gonna wear weird costumes? Are you gonna get arrested in an orc suit? What is your plan? So on that note, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful time making art.